All right, Woozy here with NeoWorlder, and today we're going to be going through some of the basics for setting up a campaign. We'll quickly show some of the skills that can be used with campaigns, the base requirements to get up and running one, and just some of the extra features and capabilities that you can do when creating here. Let's go ahead and get started. I am in a production account here. We're in the Woozy's world to demo here. And let's go ahead and navigate to the Life Lab so that we can go ahead and set this up here. You can see Murphy there we'll be using today to demonstrate. And basically our goal today will be to show how we can set up a campaign to start sending messages out to customers here. We'll run something pretty basic with Murphy here today. Yeah, hopefully it'll give you an idea of how you can set this up, as well as kind of an introduction to our communication hub, which is kind of where campaigns are created and adjusted here. Let's get going with Murphy here. All right, so we're going to hop into the skills section here, and we're going to get him set up. What I'm going to use today is this adaptive sales engagement is our skill that we're going to be used to tie into the campaign. All campaigns do need a skill attached. Basically, the skill is giving the persona the ability to reply back and telling it how to reply when we run our campaign and when leads start responding back to the persona here. There are multiple skills we can use to attach to the campaign. The adaptive sales engagement is going to be the one that's mostly, or the one that's most generic for kind of sales, marketing type campaigns. We do have a core conversation one as well here that can kind of be more about just the core knowledge of the persona. This is also what we use to set up our advisory flow. And then there's a couple other ones that we can use. There's an adaptive service engagement. There's also the coaching skill with the Neo Communication Hub version that can be used. Basically, starts off the first message is kind of introducing the coach, and then if they respond, we'll start right into the teaching there. So all this to say that there's multiple skills we can use. But for today, let's go ahead and clone this one to Murphy, and we'll focus on it today. Okay, so we've got that cloned. Let's come down here and let's reload real fast. All right. Let's take a look at the skill we just cloned there. So it's right here, and let's go in. We're going to kind of come back here after we run our first test to show some more things here. But to start, just want to show a few things. These first two nodes, I don't believe actually have anything that we need to configure just for back-end testing there. Same with follow-ups there. But the sales engagement tool does have some fields here that we can look at. To start, just want to make sure that this enable activators turned on. This will actually allow the skill to fire. And then we're going to come back and go through most of these fields later. So for now, we're just going to leave it blank. But these fields basically show the arguments for the skill. And since we're going to be tying this skill into our campaign, what we put here will dictate how the persona is going to respond back. For now, we're going to leave these all blank just to start our campaign. And then I'm going to kind of come show you how you can affect the answers that are getting sent with some of these fields here. But for now, let's go back to our persona. And so we've got Murphy created. We've got the skill added and attached here, that adaptive sales engagement here. Now we need to go back and create a memory map. So we've got our persona, we've got our skill. Now we basically need our memory map that's going to have our leads that we can submit to this campaign as well, so that we can have leads in this campaign. So let's go back to the front end of the Life Lab here, and we're going to go to the memory section. And for this demo, I'm going to give a very simple memory map with just first name, last name, and email here. Okay, so we've got our file here. Like I said, just very simple column headers here to start so that we can kind of get our campaign going. And we're going to go ahead and save this and upload it. When you're first creating a memory map, you do want to have one row of data in there just so that the system can understand basically what the columns are and what data to be expecting in those fields here. Okay, so I'm saving that file as Murphy Demo Leads Memory Map, and we're saving it as a CSV file here. And now back in the memory section, let's go ahead and create this file. So we're going to create a new memory map. We'll fill this in real fast. All right, we've got it a title here. We're going to use this one as a campaign. Since this is the first info I'm submitting here, valid as of dates will default to today. We're using a CSV file here, so we've got structured. Let's go ahead and find that file. All right, let's create. And again, this first time, we're basically just creating the headers in the system. And then once that's get created, we can actually submit our data to. So we'll give it just a second to create that. Okay, so our Murphy campaign demo memory map was created here. And you can see the template was created. Now let's go ahead and do two things here. So one, let's go ahead and add it to Murphy here. So we'll attach it to him. And then two, let's go ahead and upload a memory. We're going to go ahead and upload that exact same file we have. This time it's going to actually add this row of data in instead of just getting the template here. So this time it'll actually add this row of data in, and then we'll have our fully set up memory map. This time I was wanting to add in, 20, 30 rows, I could have all 20, 30 on here, however many I had, and still upload it this way. We will show later on some other ways of adding leads to these memory maps as we go. But for now, we're just going to start it off with just this one lead here. All right, we'll commit that, and we'll give it just a second to load. All right, looks like our data was uploaded there, so all good on the memory map. If you ever want to check just to see what data is on your memory map, you can always export it here, and it'll download for you, and anything that's been added to that template will show there for you. But for now, we've got our persona, we've got our skill, we've got our memory map. Let's now go over to the Senses tab, and we can actually set up our campaign. So we're going to go Life, and we're going to go Senses. And at the bottom here, you can see under Activators, we have where we can add campaign here. So we're going to come here and click Add Campaign. And this is where our campaign creation pulls up here. So I'm going to pause, fill in the fields, and then I'll kind of talk over them here. Okay, so let's walk through some things on this first screen here. If we were wanting to create a campaign from a template we already had, we could drop this down and select one there. But since we're creating this one from scratch, let's just go through the fields. Title, basic title for the campaign. Description, basic description for the campaign. We've got days to expire this campaign after, so I've got just 180 on this. We've got persona handled or one-off campaigns under campaign type. This is basically saying, do you want a one-time blast, or if somebody responds, do you want your persona to follow up with them? Down here, we're selecting the actual persona that's going to be running the campaign. We've got Murphy Daniel selected here. And under memory map, once I've selected the persona, any memory maps that are associated with them will be available here. And you can see that we selected that memory map we just created. If I was a persona operator setting up this campaign for a client that I was managing, I could pick a client in their specific persona and set this up the same way. But since Murphy's just mine here, we'll be good with this here. And let's just keep on continuing to the next screen here. So we've got our basic setup done. Now let's go to delivery method here. So we do have the option of doing email, SMS, or both here. I don't currently have a phone number tied to Murphy. I'm going to be making another video to show kind of phone number adding and kind of what you can do there. But for now, let's just stay with email and we'll use this one email. When I drop down the skills, you can see that I do have multiple options here. Like I was saying in the skills section, there are multiple skills that can be used with campaigns as this associated skill. But for this demo, let's go ahead and click that adaptive sales engagement one that we created and showed. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to run this campaign to a test, and then we're going to show how when we actually go back into that skill and add in arguments, then the responses that the persona are going to drastically change based off that information we're giving to them in the skill. So from here, we're gonna our persona has been set up with a Mailgun domain, so we're gonna go ahead and use Mailgun here. And then this is looking for the email column. So it knows we're running an email campaign. It's basically saying, hey, which column should I be looking for to make sure I'm getting these emails right? If you have multiple email columns, this also comes into play there. And then this one here is basically telling the persona which columns that they should be looking into or have access to. So since we're just using 3 short ones, we're going to let it have access to all 3. And then there are some optional fields down here that I'm going to point out as well. Customer name, this is just to kind of help the system make sure it's getting first name, last name correct and not confused from the names columns. And then same thing if there's a sales reps column under here. I don't have one on mine. But then also what I wanted to point out down here is this inbound skill column. So don't currently have one attached to Murphy here, but there's basically two different skills that we can add here that will help us add leads to an active campaign. So even if after I started this, we can basically, if I was to add the template matching inbound skill or what we call the parser skill to the Murphy persona, we could then select this that here. And then after I started this campaign, what the inbound skills allow me to do is if I have more leads that I want to add to this campaign, it will let me add to them at that time. We'll go over some specifics in a separate video on those two inbound skills just to show kind of the differences of exactly how they work and exactly how to set them up. But for now, I just wanted to point out that that's there. When you do set that up, the sender restrictions basically allows you to provide an email saying that only this email should be allowed to use the inbound skills to add more leads to your campaigns. So that is kind of the section with the delivery email, or the delivery method there, excuse me. And then we get into the actual message and follow-ups here. So same deal, let me pause real fast and then I'll show you kind of the options here. All right, so on our messaging here, you can see at the top we've got our signature block. This will be basically whatever they're signing off with. And then we've got our initial message here. So since we're doing email, it's set up for email. We've got our subject line and then our message body. You can see here we've got some basic text formatting features, as well as ability to enter in tables, links, video files, and image files there. And then also add attachments down here as well. And then we can also add basically as many follow-ups as we want to add. With each follow-up, we have the ability to do minutes, hours, or days after the last one. And basically how the campaign will work, since we're in a persona handled one, is the persona will start with the initial message, and then they will start their follow-up series and go through the whole thing. But if at any point the lead actually jumps in and responds to any of the messages, at that point, the persona is going to basically cancel the rest of the follow-up messages and then jump in there themselves to start responding to the person. So depending on what we have set up on our skill, which we'll kind of get to here in a second, that persona is going to then, either trying to explain customer service or answer a question or possibly try to sell something, or, get them qualified to hand them over to somebody on your team, or kind of whatever the goal is there. But that's kind of how the messaging flows there. Text will work very similar. You basically have a way to flip from whether you're setting up an email or text, and you can create as many as you want there for both email and text the same way. So let's go ahead and say that looks good for us on initial messaging. Next one is campaign statistics. We'll have a little bit more of an in-depth look on these in a future video. But for now, let's go ahead and continue. Same deal with the filters here. These allow you to basically control who is going into your campaign and actually getting messaged, or if there are certain leads that should not message for one reason or another. But again, we'll kind of go over that in more detail on a later video. And let's go ahead and create that campaign. So you can now see that we do have our campaign created. Again, remember our memory map that we created just has the one lead that's coming to me. But that is enough here to kind of get us started here. So we've got everything going. Let's go ahead and start this campaign. And I'll give it just a second here after this to show the email going out. And then we'll kind of pause for here, and then we'll make a part 2 of this video where we then go back and start specifically looking at the arguments and the persona's responses here. So we're starting here. Looks like we're started. And let me just pause a second until I get that email. All right. And yep, sure enough, did get that email sent to me. So again, this was the test lead that I put in there. Murphy sending it to me. And here's the message we created and the sign-off line that we created for him here. So we're in the next video, we'll kind of start from here, responding back, and then we'll show how you can go in the arguments and start messing with responses here next.